Welcome back to my channel, and this is the video that quite a few of my subscribers have been waiting to see. So this is it. This is my van at long last. It's finished and raring to go. Well, there's one or two little bits I've got to do, but it's nothing much. It's just a case of fitting some shelves and getting organized inside. But I've already been doing a few bits and pieces. So come on, I'll show you around. So before we get inside, I wanted my van to look just a little bit cool, you know? So I didn't want it looking like a builder's van. And I may stick some graphics on the outside in the future, but for now, I've enhanced the look of the vehicle by adding some alloy wheels. And yes, they're expensive, but I managed to work it into my budget, and I think they look absolutely amazing. So these are the Rogue alloys, and the tires are the BF Goodrich all-terrains. And a lot of you will be saying, oh, well, it's only two-wheel drive. What do you need all-terrain tires for? Well, actually, probably don't. They look cool, which is great. But also, I have spoken to other users of these tires on campervans, two-wheel drive campervans, and they've been able to get off fields where people with ordinary road tires haven't been able to. So I'm hoping that will help. I haven't really noticed any excessive road noise. They're pretty quiet, and I just think they look amazing. And it was what I wanted, so that's what I had. So this is my cozy little area. So I've got a bench seat running along here, and it will extend further out this way later on. So I've got under seat storage space as well. I'll show you that in a minute. And lighting underneath the cabinets, and we'll go through all that now. So this is the cozy area, as I'm calling it, and with a table, lagoon table, so that moves around, put it in just about any position I want to. Motorhome window behind it, lovely big window there, and the window has blinds, so you can close it off, and it also has bug blinds on it as well. And then above it I've got cabinets, and there isn't an awful lot in there at the moment, just some toiletries in there. That is a bag that I've got plates and bowls and stuff like that in. I've got to work out how I'm going to do that rather than keep that in that bag. And then the other cabinet, I've got a couple of baskets with tumblers, wine glasses, and all that kind of thing. And then, come on, there we go. And then underneath there, I've got a cob lighting strip. So much nicer, I think, the cob lighting than LED lighting. In the corner there, that's a 12-volt socket. It's my intention to put a TV up here. At the moment, I'm in two minds whether I'm still going to do that. We'll see. And then on the other side, I've got a carbon monoxide detector, smoke alarm, and that's just a light which I use at night as a night light. The CO2 detector, or carbon monoxide detector should I say, is only really because I've got a diesel heater, because I've got no gas in this van. We'll come to more of that in a bit. And underneath the seats, we've got a small little locker here. As I say, I'm going to have another sort of box that will go there with a cushion on it to get a bit more seating space. But I keep two, I think they're 10-litre water containers. Now I do have big, I think it's a 40-litre tank underslung on this van, but I'm just going to use that for like washing and stuff. And so I use these. These are full with drinking water. Now I've been away on a couple of weekends, and so far I've only used about 2/3 of a container. So I've got plenty of water there, and they're easy enough to fill up. And then over here, well, as you can see underneath the bench seat, once you've removed the covers, we got the diesel heater, and then I've got a safe, because carrying laptop, cameras, stuff like that for making YouTube videos, you know, I wanted to keep them as safe as possible. So that's been bolted down. That's not going anywhere. Okay, and then just underneath the window and behind the bench seat, I've got my controls for the diesel heater, and then next to it is the Victron Energy multi-control, and that is for the charger inverter. So if I'm on a campsite and I want to plug into electric hookup, then I can flick this over to charger once I'm plugged in, and it will charge my batteries for me, or it'll flick the switch the opposite way, and it goes to inverter and turns the inverter on. So that's the inverter now on. And yeah, more about that later. Then I've got another 12-volt socket, which I wanted for running my Wi-Fi router on, and I mentioned about that in a previous video. I think it was the car camping video, so go back and have a look at that. And then the light switch, which is for the toilet, which I'll show you in a minute, and two 30-volt sockets. So one thing I've been doing today is fitting these curtains, so I can separate the cab area from the living area. And I just thought it would make the area look more cozy. Not only that, in the summer I've got a wraparound thermal blind that goes around the cab windows and windscreen, but in the summer I may not want to use that. It might get too warm in the van for using that, so I thought I can just close off the curtains. Also, if I'm going somewhere into a car park or whatever to go and do some shopping, something like that, I can pull the curtains, pull all the blinds up, pull the curtains across, and it'll stop people from looking in. So I got those from a company called Van X online, and they, as far as I know, they do them for this, which is the Boxer, this van. So it'll fit the Ducatos, Fiat Ducatos and Citroen Relays. I think they also do them for Mercedes Sprinters and various models of Volkswagen Transporter. But I think they're really nice. They were easy enough to fit, and I think they look decent. They come in different colors as well. So these are, say, gray, but they're black on the opposite side. So yeah, and they've got poppers, so you can attach them, and then you can pull them back, and they've got ties there to hold it back there. So for lighting, I've got this nice decor strip going down between the skylight over the bed and the Max Air fans. They've got a Max Air fan up here, which has a remote control, or you can operate it just by using the buttons up here. And there is a blind on it, but I do love that cob lighting. This is another thing I've fitted today. It's a fire blanket, I've got a fire extinguisher as well, and that's underneath in the kitchen cupboards, and I've got to find somewhere to put that where I'm not going to keep banging into it. So as you can see, I've got a nice worktop with an oak top, beautiful oak top, the sink, and the sink pulls out, so I can use that to wash off dirty boots or wellies, or even wash my hair if I want to. What hair I've got. And then got the cupboards. So I've got two big, I think they're 500 ml wide cupboards, and I've got all sorts of cleaning products and stuff under there, and the same under there, and got recycling bags and food waste bin and what have you. And then there's, I think these are 300 ml wide, these drawers. And so I've got all my cutlery in the first drawer, and they're soft close. And then I've got all sorts of bits and pieces in there. And the same in the bottom one. Radio, Bluetooth speaker, kitchen paper, toilet paper, etc. And then down here is where I keep all my cooking utensils. More about that in a minute. And then I did consider having a shower, but in the end I decided to go just for a toilet room. Gives it that bit of privacy when you're sharing with other people. So I've got a light up there, and I put another light up here, and that's a red one just for at night, because for those of you who don't know, red light doesn't affect your night vision. It's an old military thing I learned many years ago. So I leave that red light on all through the night, and then if I do want to get up at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, I've got light to see by, and it won't affect my eyes. Turn that off. You can change that to whatever color you want as well. And then down here we have a Julka separating toilet, and I'll get that out and we'll show you that. So this is the Julka separating toilet, which I decided to go for rather than having a chemical toilet. I've got a chemical toilet at home, and in fact I stopped using chemicals, in the blue chemicals and the like, in those things quite some time ago. I heard a tip from somebody about using non-biological laundry tabs instead. So I thought I would try that, and they work brilliantly. So you put one tab in your freshwater reservoir, and you put another tab in your waste tank, and it worked brilliantly. And when I've been tent camping and I haven't taken that, and I've used a bucket with a lid, a tight fitting lid, just so that, you know, when you've been out with your friends, had a few beers at night, and 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and you want to get up for a leak, and you don't want to traipse across a damp field to get to the toilets, I can just use the bucket. And I would always put a laundry tab in the bucket, and there was never any smell other than the laundry liquid. It was brilliant. So I decided to go for this instead. And it was around £300, I think. And so let me show you how it works. So you open up the lid, and if I can tilt this forward, you'll see that you've got the front section is for your number ones, and the rear section is for your number twos. Okay, so it means that whether you're male or female, you've got to sit down to use the toilet, and that isn't a big problem for me. And then in order to empty the unit, you just open this up like so, and in the front you've got your number one waste container. So when that's full, and there's a little indicator here that shows you when it's full and needs emptying, you just unscrew this knob here, and you put that one on, and that one just stops it from from splashing about everywhere. You lift that out and you go and pour it down a drain. As easy as that. And then your number 2s, I have a composting bag. It's like a black bin bag, but it's one of these that compost, it breaks down. So I've got a black bag inside here. This is where your number 2s go in, okay? So there's a black bag there, and what I do is I have I've bought some kitten litter. It's like a wood pulp, and it's there to absorb moisture and stop smells. So I figure if it works for cat poo, and we all know how bad cat poo can smell, if it works for cat poo, it'll work for human poo as well. So I thought I'd give that a go, and I've been trying that, and so far it's been okay. And people have said to me about the smell. Well, I've only used this thing a few times now, a couple of times, weekends I've been away, and so far I've had no smell at all. Mary, my friend Mary, came with me on a trip, and we filled the number 1 bucket because we'd been on the beer. So we filled that up. That had to be emptied. I don't think Mary used that, but I certainly did, because if I'm spending £300 on a toilet, I'm going to use it. You know, if I'm at a campsite and it's during the daytime, you know, or whatever, then yeah, I'll go and use their toilets. But late at night or first thing in the morning, you know, if I'm still in my PJs and don't want to traipse half a mile down the road to go and use the toilet, then I'll use this. And so far it's been very good. There's as I say, there's no smell from it, and yeah, very pleased with it. And then above the kitchen unit, we've got cabinets where I've got various baskets with things in, and I don't think there's an awful lot in this one. No, nothing yet. And then over the bed area, I've got more cabinets which I'll be using for clothes. And then down here by the kitchen worktop, I have a control panel here, and this shows me my water levels. This switch controls the cob lighting, so turn it on, turn it off. And then the next switch here turns on the water pump, and then this one is my water heater. We'll come to that in a little while. And then I've got two 230-volt sockets, and there is a the switch for the main lights, and then we have an awning light, which I will show you now. And that's great. When I was away at the Van Life Eats Festival, I left that on while I was out, and when I came back, it gave off so much light to be able to see for coming back and putting the key in the lock. And then underneath the bed, I have a 65-litre Nomadic Arc fridge. And oh look, there's some beers in there, and it has a freezer section as well. And that can be converted and just left to be extra space for a fridge. And then you've got the bed. The bed is a small double. So it's the same length as your bed at home, but it's 4 feet wide, and the standard double is 4'6". Well, I didn't need that extra 6 inches. So I've got, that's plenty of room for me, and if I do have anybody staying, that's plenty of room for them as well. So, and I've put some nice twinkly lights all around there just to give a bit more atmosphere. So I bet you're wondering what I'm doing for cooking, because if you noticed, I didn't have a gas hob. Well, I'll show you now. So I have no gas, I'm all electric. So for Cooking, I'm using an air fryer, and I bought this Cosori, and it's a 6 litre. Now I've got a 6 litre air fryer at home. It's not a Cosori, but it's still 6 litre, and in that one I can get a whole chicken and potatoes as well, and you can cook a whole chicken in there easily. So if I do have the kids coming, then we're sorted for Sunday lunch. And then I have an electric saucepan. Oh, by the way, the air fryer maximum power is 1725 watts. I've got an electric saucepan, which is brilliant. I've used this to do bacon and eggs for my breakfast, and I've also made curries, chilies, all sorts in here. It's got 2 settings on here. So, well, 3 settings including off, and then it's got a low and a high, and low is 300 watts and high is 600 watts. And then I have a single induction hob, and this is a 2 kilowatt unit. Now I have used this, and to boil a kettle, I put it on. When you turn it on, it automatically goes to 1000 watts when you hit the boil power button, and that'll boil a kettle in no time at all. For cooking wise, it'll show up as 1000 watts, and then I turn it down. So if I want to bring something up to a boil, then I'll put it down to about 500 watts, and then for simmering about 300 watts. So yeah, I've only got a 2000 watt inverter, which means I can't use the air fryer at the same time as using the other items, but I'm sure I'll be able to work my way around that. The thing was, ideally I could have done with a 3 kilowatt inverter, but it was so much more expensive, and they're big, huge, heavy lumps as well. So I thought I'll get a 2 kilowatt and see how I get on with that. I'm sure I'm going to be able to make it work, you know, so that I can part boil rice or pasta or something, turn that off, and then cook chicken or whatever in the air fryer, and then the rice or pasta or whatever I'm cooking will finish cooking on the residual heat. And it's the kind of thing I've done at home before now as well, so I know I can make it work for me. So I'm really looking forward to giving this a good try out. So far I've only really used the induction hob for boiling a kettle, and when I've been away on the weekends, you know, I've apart from making breakfast, you know, I've taken food with me, tubs of chili or curry or something from out of the freezer, and then just heated them up. But when I'm away in the future, I shall be fully intending to do some proper cooking. It'll be interesting. Okay, so come around to the back of the van, and this is where all the electronics are and storage. There's plenty of garage space in here. I've got all sorts of stuff in here, and I'll bring the camera closer and you can have a better look. So as you can see, I've got everything in here. So I've got camping chairs, I've got some firewood, and there's a box here that's full of all sorts of bits and pieces, including electric hookup point, and then there's my leveling chocks. That's a blind that wraps around the cab windows and windscreen. It's thermal, so it helps to keep the warmth in. And then I've got a picnic table underneath. There is a spare duvet, which I'm probably going to be putting on shortly. That's a 10.5 tog duvet. There's only a 4.5 tog at the moment. I've got my aquafill hose for filling the water, and down here I've got my little Bluetti power bank, which you've probably seen before if you've watched my videos before, and it's only a little one I've used when I've been camping, just for charging up my phone and using my laptop and things like that. And I've got solar panels to help charge that up Let's get the duvet out of the way. And at the back there is a 6-litre hot water boiler. Okay, so I can use that for, well, anything I want hot water for. I probably won't use it for just washing up my dishes, but you know, if I want to wash my hair or whatever, then I can use that. Also, excuse me, I can rig up an outside shower. I've just bought all the bits and pieces I need for that, and we'll see that in a later video sometime probably, where I can put a cover, a waterproof cover across the rear barn doors, hang a hose, and there's a submersible pump, and the submersible pump then goes into this 15-litre water container, and I can fill that up with hot water from the water heater, and that'll be me for a shower after I've been for a long hike or a run or something. So there we have the back of the fridge just there. That's my 2000 watt, 2 kilowatt inverter charger. So that's what gives me 230 volts inside the van, or charges up my battery when I'm plugged into an electric hookup. And then there is the battery. Now, I was just going to have a 450 amp Fogstar battery, but there was a deal on, and the 628 amp hour battery was only £200 more than the 450. So I thought, well, as I'm spending all this money anyway, I'll put that in. So that's a massive 628 amp hour battery. And then the other electrics, we've got the fuse board, consumer unit as usual. Then we have the Victron MPPT controls. So I've got 440 watt solar panel on the roof. That's bringing the energy down into this charge controller, and that's turning it into energy and putting that energy into the battery. And then below that, I have a 50 amp DC to DC battery charger. So when the engine's running, that's putting power from the alternator into the battery. And then got the links distributor and an isolator switch and shunts all there in the corner. All a very neat installation. And then at the back here, well, as you can see, there is a LED light, runs the full width of the van, gives me plenty of light to see what I'm doing in there. And so you got the switch for that, and then there is another 12 volt socket there and another 230 volt socket there. So that's the van tour. It's how I'd envisaged it. I just need, as I say, an extension piece on the back of on the side of the seating, and I'm going to have that just as basically just as a lidded box, so there'll be storage in there, and if I need it for extra seating for people, then I can get it out of the garage, and if I'm not using it, I'll put it in the garage. So that's the plan for that. But otherwise, it is how I envisaged it. I've been very pleased with it. I've had to varnish all the woodwork in it because it came to me unvarnished. They're not painters and decorators, they're builders. And I haven't said, have I? I'm sure you all know this because I've mentioned it in previous videos, but I didn't build this van. I mean, I would have loved to have built the van, but I live in a first floor flat, and I have no off-street parking. So it would have made building very difficult. You know, I'd have had to have parked up on the grass outside of my flat, and then hung power cables out of my bedroom window, and that's just not practical. And then the neighbours would have been complaining about the noise from drills and saws and what have you. And I also looked at the cost of renting a workshop to do that, and that didn't make sense. And I didn't know how long it was going to take me. So 9 months, 12 months, something like that, maybe longer. You know, it was going to work out to be an awful lot of money. So I decided to bite the bullet, and I went to Vanology Conversions in Bridgend in South Wales, because they're only a 40-minute drive away from me. So I went to them, and Stuart and his team have done a really good job on it. I'm really impressed. It's a very professional job, and I think it looks amazing. So now you're all going to be wondering what I've spent. Well, if you've watched my previous videos, you'll know that I had a budget for buying either a second-hand motorhome or camper van of £40,000. And basically, that's what I've spent on this. Well, actually, I've spent quite a lot more than that. But the van cost me, I think it was £10,150. It had 49,000 miles on the clock. And it's a 2.2 litre HDI Peugeot Boxer. And the conversion, including VAT, cost me just shy of £30,000. But then, of course, I've had to buy everything to go inside the van. I mean, it's like setting up home again a second time. You know, you've got to buy a mattress, you've got to buy bedding, you've got to buy cooking appliances, cooking utensils, cushions, all sorts of stuff. And it all mounts up. And I haven't totted up. I'm too scared to. To be honest, I haven't totted up how much I've spent on Amazon and other places in buying these things. But I reckon I've spent a few £1,000s just to equip the van. And I thought, do you know what? I'm not scrimping. The only thing I've scrimped on was possibly the inverter, because I didn't want to pay that kind of money. I can't remember what it was, £800, £900, something like that for a 3. And I didn't want to spend that. I might later on, you know, I could possibly upgrade to that. But that was the only thing. But everything else, I thought, no, I'm having it. You know, if it's going to make my life more comfortable in this van, and particularly when I go away on long trips, and what we're in middle of September now, and I'm planning, in fact, I've paid for my ferry for February the 3rd, I think it is, to go from Portsmouth to Caen in northern France, and then I'm going to head over to the west coast of France, drive all the way down to Biarritz, and then round the corner into Spain to San Sebastian, excuse me, and then right across the north coast of Spain and over to Vigo. I think it's pronounced Vigo or Vigo on the west coast of Spain. And then I'm going to follow the coast of Portugal down and then head into the Algarve, where I'm going to spend a couple of weeks before slowly but surely making my way back through Spain and through France. So it's a 6-week trip. Now, I've planned it all out. I don't expect to stick to the plan at all. So there'll be places I'll want to stay longer, other places I probably won't want to stay as long. Hopefully I can stop and do a bit of fishing whilst I'm on there. So, you know, it's just a very rough plan. And I think I'm due to be sailing back on the 17th of February. So I'll be doing some planning along the way coming back. But yeah, that's my van. It's all raring to go. I'm just be doing a few sort of 2 or 3 day trips or week-long trips between now and the beginning of February, and to get used to the van and get myself organized in it, and ready to go. Right, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, give it a thumbs up, and hit the notification bell if you haven't done so, and also subscribe if you already haven't subscribed to my channel. It doesn't cost anything, it's totally free. Just hit that subscribe button. It helps me, helps my channel, and yeah, that's about it. So until the next time, happy adventures.